Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first episodic review of Helluva Boss Season 2. I almost forgot that this was happening so soon. It almost caught me off guard. For some reason, I thought it was like a little ways off still. But yeah, it happened. We got our first episode, about 23 minutes long, and yeah, chock full of important shit. And it was mentioned before that the last episode of season one was kind of like, I guess you could call it filler. That the last episode that we did get was technically still the last like full real episode, and so that we didn't need to see the actual last episode to like get the context of what's going on here. And yeah, that was actually made very much clear here. This definitely followed up from that. So, just general thoughts before I get into spoilers and everything. This episode was phenomenal. Um, I didn't know what to expect going into this. I knew a few things were coming, obviously, because it's been talked about on Twitter. But I didn't know exactly what to expect from it. I didn't know exactly what to think. Um, it was a lot more than I ever would have expected. And like they're really like Vivzy and the crew are really trying their fucking damnedest to make Stolas my favorite character. And it's like, no, fuck that. It's not gonna work. Millie's still gonna be my favorite, and Moxie as a close second, and then Verostica probably, and then probably Sally Mae because bias due to being trans. Um, but fuck it, they're trying. They are fucking trying to make me just love Stolas more and more. Um, so obviously, without this, before we get into the spoilers, this was a Stolas focused episode. Again, continuing off of where the last episode that we got of season one, which I guess was technically part one of the finale, leaves off from that. So it's just kind of the aftermath of that, as well as some new information and everything. Um, it was fantastic. It wasn't the best animated, but I didn't expect it to be like the peak of animation for the series off the bat. We'll probably get more of those peak animation moments later on in the season. So we'll tackle that when we get to that. But like the sound mixing, everything was really great. The voice acting was great as usual. The actual content was fantastic. But in order to properly talk about this, we do have to get into spoilers. So, just letting you know here, if you have not seen the episode yet, we are about to get into stuff that will be heavily spoilery because we're going to basically be talking about everything. But just as a note going forward, like obviously, yes, we are still just doing the episodic reviews for this series instead of reacting to it. This is just how I want to take in this series. I want to watch this on my own time, do these episodic reviews. This is how I want to watch Helluva Boss. I know a lot of people would love to see me react to it, and I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to reacting to it. But again, this is when watching the first season and doing these reviews, I loved doing it this way. It's like this just felt right for me. Also, there's certain moments in season one where it's like I really am glad I didn't record myself on that, just out of embarrassment. Specifically, the Verosika episode where I would have been very embarrassed. Let's put it that way. Simping doesn't even begin to explain how I reacted to that episode when I first watched it. I'm glad that wasn't caught on camera. I got it was a lot. Let's just say that. The Verosika episode, like Spring Breakers. I'm sure all of you understand. Verosika is very famously a turn on for a lot of people. A lot of stuff in that episode is a turn on for a lot of people. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, so yeah, this is just how I'm going to be doing it with this series, continuing. But when and if Has Been Hotel ever does eventually actually come out, they keep revealing new character designs, which is good. At least they're doing that a little more often with these last few characters. So hopefully we're going to get news on that soon. But when that eventually comes out, that will be reacted to. I will say that. But this series I'm going to keep just watching whenever they come out on my own and doing the reviews. Okay, so spoilers for this fucking episode that made me fucking cry. Begin in 3, 2, 1, now. Fuck Fipsy Pop. Like I said at the beginning, like, they're trying really fucking hard to make Stolas my favorite character. It's not gonna fucking work, but they're trying hard. I'm gonna hold out. When I first watched the pilot for this, like, you guys might remember, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I actually compared to Has Been Hotel's pilot. I was really disappointed by it. And even on all the rewatches I've done, I still think it's the weakest thing from all of Helluva Boss, by far. It just doesn't feel complete. And on top of that, there is a lot to it that's just a lot more annoying than it has, like, a reason to be. But when I started the actual series with episode 1, Murder Family, it surprised the shit out of me. Like, it surprised the absolute shit out of me. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. And again, right off the bat, Murder Family was amazing, and it still is. And so we go into season 2 here, and by the time we finish season 1, at least what we've got so far, I had already fallen in love with Stolas. I've already grown to adore him as a character. He's grown so much. From the pilot, like, I honestly hated him. I thought he was this over excessively sexual character for the sake of a joke. He didn't feel like a character to me. He felt like a joke. And so I as I watched the series again, he grew on me more and more. The Lululand episode obviously did wonders for his character. But even just continuing on to Ozzy's and everything, it's like he became amazing. And so we start this episode, and it's the first half of the episode is backstory. Well, actually, more of the first 2/3, really, because technically, after it gets out of the childhood backstory, it goes until still more backstory, technically. Only the last third of it is really the current day. And it's just like, oh, you liked Stolas from last season? Let's make you fucking cry. Let's break you down. We get to find out about Stolas' past here, his childhood, which we knew was coming. Again, it was all over Twitter. They didn't hide this. They revealed this ahead of time, that we were going to see baby Stolas, that we were going to see his father, Paimon, I think his name is. We were going to see all of it. We knew about that. So going into this, I didn't expect the flashback to be a good majority of the episode and to be right off the bat, but it started with the flashback. We see that Stolas, as a kid, was excited to finally be getting his grimoire and to become, to follow in his family's footsteps. His father is an absolute fucking cunt, though. And I'm not going to hold back on my language on that. He is a cunt. He is basically, while Stolas has been proven to be, like, the kind of, like, lovable character despite being, rich. Because you know how everybody, like, acknowledges rich people kind of suck for the most part. There are exceptions, and Stolas is one of those exceptions. But rich people tend to be excessively egotistical. They tend to focus so much on their wealth and status that they don't care about people and, morality and shit. And, yeah, Paimon's a fucking cunt. He is an absolute shit parent. he 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 arranges Stolas's marriage. This is something that I don't think was mentioned anywhere before. I might be wrong because I don't like pay attention to a lot of the like side stuff that's talked about because I want to like go with the show as my main source of information. Stolas's marriage to Stella was arranged when he was a kid to simply keep the Goetia line going. And Stolas always hated Stella. He never liked her. And oh, by the way, I'm going to get into it more later, but oh my fucking God. Like, I didn't have a lot of huge opinions on Stella before because we didn't see enough of her. We knew she was trying to kill Stolas and everything, and we knew she was obviously not great. And obviously anyone who screams at and berates Stolas like she has in season 1 is like anyone like that, like we don't like. But oh my God, Stella in this episode, I have never wanted to smack a bitch so hard. And I'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So Stolas is upset about the entire arranged marriage thing, and his father decides, let's go to the circus. But he doesn't even fucking go. He's just he's viewing it through a magic mirror the entire time. He never left the palace. He was there the entire time, viewing it through a mirror while this imp butler and Stolas were there. And it's like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God, I hate it. I hated him so much. I fucking hate him so much. Ugh. He's not in the picture in current day, and I don't know why. We don't have that information right now, but I hope he's fucking dead. Oh my God, like this shit gets to me. I've talked before about personal issues with like fatherly stuff and everything, and how that stuff being important to me in terms of how it's portrayed in media and stuff, and how I've connected with stuff like that. I hate abusive parents in general as well. So it's like just seeing him treat Stolas this way as a parent, to be that dismissive, to be that unloving. He didn't even fucking know who Stolas was when he entered his throne room. He's like, which of my children is this again? I have so fucking many. It's like, wow. Ugh. They go to the circus. And it's the circus where Blitz, as a kid, is performing with Fizz. We get to see young Blitz and Fizz as well in this episode, getting to see them as best friends and everything. And we don't find out what happened. We don't find out how they split up, but we're definitely finding that out this season. I think this season's going to reveal a lot more than just this episode did. But we see Blitz and Fizz were kind of inseparable. Blitz was never like great at being a performer and everything, but he had this dream of wanting to like own his own circus and everything. And the horse thing is brought up at one point because we know Blitz loves horses. It's great. Him like fangirling over what he would name his horses is really fucking cute. But getting on track, Stolas sees Blitz performing and instantly, even as a kid, falls in love with him. Stolas knew Blitz from childhood and loved him the entire time. And oh my God, when you realize that and you remember how last season ended with how Blitz treated Stolas and everything, and how Stolas was left afterwards, and I understand Blitz is going through a lot. I understand Blitz is holding a lot in, and that he's got a lot going through his mind. He's not in the best position. I understand that. I understand his mental health is not great. But it's like when you understand that Stolas loved him basically from first sight, and I don't agree with love at first sight, by the way, but even if you just want to consider it a crush at that point, when you see that like Stolas has always had his eyes on Blitz and everything, and like even got his father to uh, buy Blitz, or I guess more accurately, rent him out for a day when they were kids, to spend time with him. It's like you just feel so fucking bad for Stolas, and you actually kind of get angry at Blitz. Again, even though you know, like, Blitz has a lot of shit going down, and he's not great in terms of his mental health. Blitz needs help, but you really do get angry at the way he treats Stolas. You do. You see that Blitz's father, who runs the circus, who is also a fucking cunt, is Paimon and the imp butler approach him, and it's like, we want to rent out your clown, and he's like, oh, Fizzarali, like, he's really popular, so he won't be cheap, and Paimon's like, no, the other one. And he's like, oh, Blitzo? Well, that's my son. What do you have in your pocket? The imp pulls out like a condom and a ball of lint, and it's like, and he's like, yep, that'll do. Fuck you. I'm sorry, but again, oh my god. You have no idea how much this fucking bothers me. Bad parents really fucking piss me off, really fucking upset me. And it's just like, again, we don't know where he is current day. I hope he's fucking 10 feet under the ground as well. Or however, whatever happens to imps when they die in hell, I don't know. I want him to be dead so much. Um, but it's like his mother is brought up. I think we might have seen Barbie Wire during the circus performances. I'm unsure. Because we know that Blitz and Barbie did perform together for a time, as the Amazing Imp Twins. Um, and I think we might see her at one point, but I might be wrong about that. Um, I'd have to see it again. I've only seen the episode once, but so yeah, he rents out Blitzo to, and I can say Blitzo because at the time the O wasn't silent, but rents him out to the Goishas. So he tells him though that it's like, okay, you're going over there, you will steal everything you can from them, throw it out the window to me, and yeah. And Blitzo's not like really keen on it, but ends up going with it after his father guilts him into it, which, like, oh my god. Yeah, he guilts him into it so fucking hard. It's like, don't you want us to have a bigger circus tent? Don't you want your mother to be happy? And he's like, yeah, I love my mother. And he's like, well, you don't want her to be sad, dude. It's like, oh my fucking god, I hate this. I hate this so fucking much. Stop. Mm. I can't keep, I have to move on, because if I keep this up, it's just going to be a shit ton of me getting pissed off, and I'm going to throw something, and I don't want to do that. Um, so he goes to hang out with Stolas, and he ends up tricking Stolas into, like, playing pirate and stealing all the stuff, which he does throw down to his father. And we see when Stolas first tells Blitz about the grimoire and everything, and then it kind of skips to 25 years later. So presumably, I guess we get kind of an age range here. If it's 25 years later, let's say they were around, at that point, somewhere between 6 and 10. If we highball it and say 10, that would make them 35, approximately, at this during the main series. Again, approximately, maybe a little less, maybe a little higher, and I could see that. Honestly, I could see that. So we go to 25 years later, and we see Stolas is going to be going to this party with that his wife is hosting, and the entire time she just shit talks him and just, like, calls him like a loser and everything, and the worst kind of man. And oh my fucking god, I hate her so much. She is, like, again, I've never wanted to slap a bitch so hard. The way she treats him and abuses him and everything, it's like, yeah, clearly I can see why he's always hated her and um, why his relationship with her was never built on love and why his relationship with Blitz, therefore, is so important to him. And it's like, Jesus. It's like they're just putting everything in there to make us feel so fucking bad for him. And so we go and see that eventually some of Stolas's guards caught Blitz trying to sneak into his bedroom. Stolas escorts Blitz back to his room, and they both remember each other, and we see that Blitz is there to get the grimoire, and Stolas thinks he's there to fuck him. He thinks he was sneaking in his room so he could, fuck him. Which raises a lot of concerns and sorrows about about Stolas's like mind in regards to all of that, and in regards to love and everything. And it goes back to last season where Blitz was like basically seeing it as that Stolas only ever wanted him for sex and nothing more. And I think there was some truth to that. I think Stolas did treat him that way at first, just to kind of like get through the fact that he was in this loveless, horrifically abusive marriage to Stella. But that through this all, he did end up forming a genuine love for Blitz. But we see that Stolas is like trying to talk to him while Blitz keeps trying to steal the book. But in the process, he keeps like pushing Stolas down and everything, and Stolas thinks that he's being dominated, and it's hilarious, sad, and gets really fucking steamy at the same time. Like there's this one part of it, Blitz bites Stolas's neck, and I swear Stolas orgasms 10 times in a row right at that moment. Like I got really that got really steamy, and I admit that it affected me. It was notable. This is why I don't react to this series. It was They didn't hold back in that moment. But Blitz ends up like still trying to get the grimoire. He ends up tying. He blindfolds and ties Stolas to the bed. And Stolas is just again thinking he's being dominated, and it's like, again, it's really sexy, but also really fucking sad and funny at the same time. It's like you feel so bad for Stolas. Like he clearly still loves Blitz from his childhood, and he's stuck in such a loveless marriage that this is exciting and fun to him. That something like this, it's something he wants, something he can take control of, something he can own for himself. And it's like, oh, that's really sad. But the way it's performed and everything is really funny and also really fucking steamy. And it's like, it gives you kind of this whirlwind of emotions. But you see Blitz about to leave with the book, but then you have Stolas like talking about how this is like so meaningful for him, and Blitz actually pauses, and it's like, because Stolas said like you were my first friend and everything, yeah, that it means so much for this to be with his first friend. And Blitz actually stops us, fine, I'll fuck you, basically. And so we know he goes back and does, and apparently he does for the entire rest of the night. He's like, I'll make this quick, and then it's like the next morning, and it's like, oh, it was not quick. They went at it. And then it cuts basically to the scene the next morning when Blitz jumps out the window and he tells Stella, I fucked your husband, from the pilots and all. And it's like, hey, it connects. Yeah. I like that. I didn't like Stolas in the pilots, but at the same time, I still like the connection there, how it's showing the events of the pilot, like we're still canon and everything. And then we see like it continue on after that. You see Stella look up at Stolas on the balcony, and she's like, "What the fuck was that?" And because Stella had been like taunting him before the party that she held was like, we're not divorced, and because it's a big deal because I hate you and everything. And so now Stolas is like, oh, by the way, he's like, this was the divorce and everything. He tears the banner that was hung there that says not divorced. He tears away the not part. And then it cuts ahead again to current day, where you see him on the balcony and you see him like singing about like everything that had happened with Blitz and his sorrow and everything. It's again really sad and makes you cry, and I teared up and I cried after everything with this episode that it's been building with Stolas, and just hearing him sing that, it broke me. It did. But then it goes into Stella coming in, and he's like, "Why are you here? You leave on the weekends with Octavia, but you always stay around here. Why do you stay around here during the week?" And she flat out admits, "Oh, I'm just here to fuck with you. I'm here because you don't want me here, because it makes you feel bad, because it's painful for you." And it's like, okay, earlier, Stella, I wanted to slap a bitch. Now, I would be perfectly fine with gut stabbing you, because you are currently ripping out my heart. So why can't I just I don't know where I was going with that comparison. I was gonna say, why can't I just stab yours? But if it's gut stabbing, it wouldn't be the heart. And I would be perfectly fine with her dying. I'm not as aggressively upset about her as with his father or Blitz's father, because of the personal connection there. But God, I would be so happy if she died. Like, she's trying to kill Stolas. Can she just die instead? Can Stolas kill her? That would be nice. But Stolas finally stands up against her, and it's like, no, we're getting this divorce, which apparently they hadn't gotten since the events of the pilot that we saw. Even though he said they were going to, I guess he just never went through with it. He's like, no, this is happening. I want you out of this mansion, out of my life. I want you gone. He's just sick of taking her shit, and she's like, fine, whatever. The rest of the Goetia family won't stand for this, by the way. And he's like, I don't care what your brother says and everything, like referencing, again, a character we had heard about already, and who will probably appear at some point during this season. And he gets her out. I assume, since he's technically still the prince, he'll keep custody, at least for now, of Octavia. But we'll see. I guess we don't have any evidence of that quite yet. And honestly, I would believe Octavia would rather stay with him at this point. After the Lululand episode, where they definitely made amends and everything, I think they're going to have that be the case. Also, we did find out in this episode Octavia's actual age. She's 17. It was unclear. It was never actually stated in the first season. I had figured she was probably around the same age as Luna, who's like in her 20s. That was confirmed by, I believe, Vipsy Pop specifically. But we get the confirmation that Octavia is 17. So yeah, we have confirmation on her age. So there is that. But yeah, we see that Stolas at this point is just, he's tired of this. And I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where this is going to lead with Blitz and his relationship to him. I don't know where it's going to lead with the rest of the story going forward. I mean, obviously, we're going to get more stuff with the Goetias coming up. That definitely was set up. But yeah, this was a phenomenal start. Like, the pacing was great. The flashbacks gave so much depth to the story, to Stolas, to Blitz. It's just so much to this. And I'm very, very excited to hopefully find out so much more during this season. And we don't have any kind of like, to my knowledge, we don't have any kind of like consistent air date still. It's just going to be, again, whenever they finish the episodes, I assume. So we'll see what happens when it happens and how they continue to do this. Hell, we might get the technical final episode of season 1 before we get another episode of season 2. I don't know. But either way, yeah, this was a fantastic start. It did everything right, and it made me cry. It got us to care so much more about Stolas than we already did, which is already a lot. And it gave us a lot of fucking characters to hate. Like, oh my god. And also it confirmed my choice to not react to this on camera. For moments like that, when Blitz bit Stolas and Stolas orgasmed and everything, and it's like, again, it didn't like actually say or anything he did, but I think it's pretty fucking obvious by his reaction, like, oh my god. And it's just like, Jesus. Like, I can handle a certain level of sexiness and stuff in shows, like, that's fine. But it gets to a certain point where if it goes way too hard on it, like, it will affect me, and I, to a degree, do not want that on camera. Like, I guess you could say I'm shy about that to a degree. I'm very open, I'm very honest. I'll tell you guys about it, but I will not, like, show it. For a lot of reasons. Also, I don't think YouTube would want me to. Though it'd probably be redirected, but I don't think BitChute would want me to either, to be fair. Yeah. Yeah. I'll leave it up to your imagination. How about that? In the meantime, getting embarrassed talking about it, Jesus. In the meantime, tell me your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything I missed, anything you want to hear my thoughts on, please feel free to comment down below. I'll answer anything that I might have missed again. And I can't wait for the next episode. Hopefully it continues to be like to this level of quality or even better. For the time being, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.